right, Jake. Well, we're super excited to welcome Max Grant to the Man Pepper podcast and the Man Pepper family. Max is a junior at Canisius College near Buffalo, New York, upstate New York, the Canisius Griffs. Recently been named a preseason All-America selection by a few outlets and preseason Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, the MAAC Player of the Year. Max, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, super excited, man. 2022 MAAC Player of the Year as well, and
Yeah.
MAAC champion. You guys were the 3 seed, and you took it home last year. You guys are coming off a high. Thanks for joining us. How you feeling? Get ready for the season.
Pretty good. We actually got outside for our first inner squad, you could say, just a couple innings there today. So good to be out in the sun again and not stuck in the cage. But I think we're gearing up and we're pretty much ready to go here.
When you guys open up? Soon, right?
Yeah, we don't play weekend one. The only one we could really do was Pepperdine, but we couldn't really do that financially. So we're just going to be starting weekend two down in Charleston.
Nice. So
Awesome.
getting out of like 29-degree weather, maybe getting into like 60-degree weather.
Yeah, for sure. It's supposed to be pretty warm from what we've looked at, so definitely excited for that.
Nice.
So talk to us a little bit about Jake and I went to Siena College years ago at this point. Upstate New York, not as upstate as Buffalo, but there's challenges associated with Northeast baseball, especially when you're opening up in February down south. And like you said, Max, like today was your first time outside probably since like the fall. So you're just seeing probably pitchers throwing to you in a dimly lit cage like what Jake and I dealt with 20 years ago. Like what's it like for you getting outside for that first time and seeing live pitching really for the first time in your first game?
It definitely builds like a sort of an excitement to get back into it. Like we're not, like you said, we're not down south where we're out practicing every day and we're out in the sun. We're just in a gym here and in a cage and taking ground balls on the gym floor. So it definitely keeps that excitement for everybody to play, and especially the warm weather, getting out of the stormy weather here. And it's definitely that's the biggest part of the Northeast, I think, is like you say, as you battle through the fall and the winter and sort of the spring. And it's a tough schedule to start with 8 or so weeks straight on the road, but it makes getting back and getting to play at home so much better.
Especially when you get home and play on that sweet turf you guys got.
Exactly. Hitter's paradise.
Max.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Jake. I used to love hitting at Canisius. Like, I'm probably 700 lifetime there. And I don't know, there's just something about it. It's probably because, like, if you hit a hard ground ball, it's going to get through.
Yeah.
And I hated fielding there for the same reason. But it is a really good hitter's park. Like, the backdrop just worked for me. And obviously, your career stats are pretty impressive so far. So I feel like you feel the same way.
Yeah, I enjoy hitting at home. You got a fast turf, and because it's not a traditional field where you can't tell where the outfield meets the infield, I think it's tougher for teams to come in and know where to play right off the bat. So even if you don't barrel one up, like you could hit one up down either of the corners or even in the power alleys, and you should honestly be standing on third base every time you hit the ball.
Yeah. Well, that also depends on how far back you guys move the fences, though, right?
Exactly, yeah, because we can change it in and out wherever. If you guys come in, like Siena comes in, they get a bunch of right-handers. We're moving that baby in as far as we can.
Oh, dude.
So what are you involved in that? Or you're like, hey, I'm feeling pretty good today. Like, right field moving in a bit.
Not so much last year, but this year, so I have a course here where I got to do, like, I was just working the basketball game like 10 minutes ago. So we get to work events and we can tell, like, I'll be able to move the fence in a little bit if I feel necessary and if I feel like it's going to help our team as a whole. So not so much in the past, but I'd say in the future I have a little bit of say in it.
Well, I mean, you got a little bit of hardware now to back it up, to be like, hey, listen to Max and
Yeah.
what he's suggesting, guys. He's going to go 4 for 6 in this game. Let's make it happen. Yeah, that's funny, man. We talked. The reason I bring it up, Max, is we talked about it, man. I don't know, one of the probably multiple episodes where we talked about how well we liked playing there and how funny it was that the fence would get moved around. And yeah, it was a good running joke and still is 20 years later. So I guess we're old and stupid saying it, but we're just going to keep saying it.
fine.
Let,
That's
let's be
fine.
clear. Let's be clear though, Max. Like I'm sure your numbers are outrageous at home, but I think they're outrageous kind of wherever you play. So last year we interviewed Ben Seiler from Siena. Last year, like season 5 or episode 5 or 6. He's at Indiana now, but he was pitching before he was coming on the pod. So I tuned into the live stream and watched him pitch against you guys at
Hmm.
Siena.
Left-hander, isn't
I think you were like 4 for 5 that day and hit every ball off the barrel. So it's not dependent on Canisius.
he?
But tell me a little bit about your hitting approach. What I took away from it was you're a lefty. Your balance at the plate is super impressive. Like you're just on balance every time. You track pitches really well. And me as just a third party observer, it felt like you were just going to barrel the ball up every single time. Like even an out that you're going to make is probably going to be well hit. So like what's the hitting approach like? Are you thinking about like launch angle in your training, or is it really just like, look, I'm trying to stay on balance and barrel it up and whatever happens there it's going to be a good result?
Yeah, pretty much like that. Like honestly, for me as a hitter, I love hacking. So if it's anywhere, like I certainly have my spots where I know I can do damage, and I feel like I understand the game enough and know when pitches are going to come in different sequences. So I can kind of ambush pitches in that sense. But when I'm up at the plate, it's just like I try not to think. I trust my ability and what I've done, and even like if you come and watch me play here at Canisius and you listen to my Shakira walk-up song, like I'm singing that in the box while I'm hitting. So, like I don't really necessarily like to overthink stuff when I play. I just like to play, and like I'll be joking the whole time you'll watch me play, and I'll be chirping the first baseman we have, and just sort of trying to play loose and stuff like that. And I think that's helped my game and helped me really have fun during the game for a long period of time.
What song you guys at Hips Don't Lie?
That's what I walked up to
It's
freshman year.
perfect.
Yeah,
What was last
it
year?
was.
Did you replay
Yeah.
it last year?
Well, no, I switch it up every year. Last year, our one of our outfielders uh picked it. Like I don't really pick mine. It's just like if someone says, "Hey, you should do this," and I think it's catchy, I'll do it. So I think it was called "Slime Belief" by who's that by? I can't even remember the name.
Sounds like a TikTok
But
little catchy thing.
not really.
No?
It's like a rap song or something. It was I don't know, but
Young
it
NBA
it was
Young Boy?
catchy enough for me. Yes, that's it. That's who it was.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. It was around like 2 minutes and something. It was later on in the song, but yeah, it's something that I can remember easily and something that's catchy. So
So Max,
What do you got
that's
on
how I
deck for
go.
this
yeah, what
year?
do you got on deck? Yeah, what are you thinking?
This year, the same guy who last year I sort of had to go back to him, and he said, I think it's Real Spill by I wouldn't even know again, but
Dude, I love it. I love it. You just
um,
trust in your teammates here. Just give you something good.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's what well honestly it's whatever they like hearing because they're going to be hearing it 4 or 5 times a game. So you got to get the crowd involved a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked about, trusting your ability, you're confident. What do you see when you go down south? What are they attacking you with? Are they coming, being
Uh,
a lefty, the righties coming down and in hard with stuff? And what are you keying in on versus coming up north? It's definitely a bigger difference when you come up north, but down south in particular.
Down south, I think it plays into a lot of what the pitchers like, what their best pitch is. Like, especially in Miami, like they had some hard throwers, so they'd go with the heater. But it depends mainly, like at those big schools where you have those top end dogs who are going to get drafted and go and make a career out of it. They like to trust their stuff and let alone, like, yeah, they'll have stuff on you, but they're going to trust their stuff over your stuff, which I'd take that any day of the week as a hitter. But back up here, I feel like the same thing necessarily, but there's a lot more scouting, I think, in our conference, and they'll understand what you do damage on, and they'll try and shy away from that, and maybe just throw you on first and see what the rest of the lineup can do. But yeah, I feel like a lot of it's pretty different, but necessarily you got to throw it over the plate.
Yeah.
Sometime.
Are you a first ball swinging?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like to be early in counts for sure.
You're my type of guy. I like that.
If he throws a heater early, there's a rare shot I'm not swinging at it.
Love it.
So I assume the schools in the MAC know that by now after your freshman year and especially after last year. Did you see any adjustments being made against you like the later part of last year? And are you expecting anything markedly different this year, especially when you get into conference play?
Yeah, I feel like necessarily like in certain counts I do for sure is like the fastball counts, the 2-0, the 3-1. You're not necessarily going to get the fastball every time, so maybe you go up there thinking like, oh, I'm going to hit this pitch, and maybe you don't see it until the third or fourth pitch, but you still got to be like ready and locked in to hit that. So a lot of it is like staying tied into the approach and hoping they bring in whatever you can, and then if you get to two strikes, just try and get one in play and see what the defense can do and see if you can get down the line.
Yeah, I like that. What about so heater? Fastball you like hitting. What other pitches in general? I bring it up because I love to hit the curveball when we were playing. Like guys are,
Yeah,
especially
that'd be,
first pitch, trying to lay one over. Like, what are you doing? I'm going to absolutely demolish this thing.
yeah, I curveball too for sure, and especially out of a right-hander because in baseball and definitely in the MAC, there's a lot more right-handers than left-handers, and a lot of pitchers, I would say personally, is their best secondary pitch would be a curveball. So if you work on hitting a curveball and you enjoy hitting a curveball, there's a high probability you're going to get a curveball or a fastball. So those are the two pitches that I like to hunt.
Nice.
So Max, talk to us a little bit about your upbringing in Canada, right? Prior to coming to Canisius. What type of ball did you play there? Were you a multi-sport athlete or was it just focused on baseball?
Yeah, I played everything growing up, anything, mostly all school related stuff. But I played hockey. I played midget AAA. My first year, which was grade 10, and then the next year, I moved out west to go to Vauxhall Academy, which is in Vauxhall, Alberta. But the only real town close to it that would probably be heard of is Lethbridge, or even closer would be Tabor. There's about 8 or 9 streets in Vauxhall, and they have one academy team that lives in the dorms, so 20, 21 guys in a small town with 8 streets, and you just play baseball and grow friendships. And I got a bunch of guys here. Like we have 4 or 5 guys from Vauxhall here that were on my team when I was there, so glad they're here with me. But I would not be here without Vauxhall, and I understand that, and that's why I went there in the first place. So yeah, basically played everything. Have an older brother, played everything too. He plays hockey at a Division 3 over in close to Utica, Hamilton
Yep.
College. He's a goaltender there. He's a junior as well, but he's a hockey side of it, so he's 3 years older than I am. Dad played sports. Dad coached all the sports, so the big thing was giving up hockey there in grade 10 and trying not to look back. But I get out and play shinny and stuff whenever I'm home, so never too far away from the game, but obviously not as involved as I used to be.
What was that decision like, having to make the decision basically, like you said, to give up hockey and focus, it seems like primarily on baseball at that point? Was that like a really tough decision? Like, did you think you could have had a collegiate career in hockey? Talk us through that.
Yeah, that was one of the toughest ones I've gone through so far, is because I was playing Major AAA and I played in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League prospect game, so there was some interest through there too. But I also, if I wanted to play baseball, I had to move 48 hours away from my family and my friends. But evidently, we talked with Coach Mack of Vauxhall, and I played Canada games underage and went to the T12 3 times. So I figured that baseball was probably the highest probability, and it's one of the. It was tough to say which one I liked more, but it's an adventure I wanted to take, and it's paid off so far.
Yeah, I mean, MAAC Player of the Year. I mean, you burst on the scene last year for sure, right? Preseason All America. You got all these accolades. Won a championship. You guys have like your whole team returning, right? I mean, pretty much. I think
Yeah,
I read it's like 25 or 28 people coming back. I mean, that's basically the whole team. Are
yeah,
you guys
we
hunting
didn't
for it?
lose.
Hunting for 2 in a row?
Oh, for sure. That's a plan all along, and I think even that, like, talking about trying to repeat and stuff, I think being a northern team where maybe guys here don't get drafted as much as they do down south, I feel like a lot of teams up here play to win instead of just for personal accolades and stuff along those lines, which helps in those runs. But yeah, we only lost a couple pitchers, not really like guys that contributed and came in to get outs here and there, but nothing crazy like a starter or a reliever and stuff like that. And then defensively, we lost Mike Steffen, who had a good year, switch hitting first baseman, DH. Vinny Shrenza, first baseman. Gibson Krasminski, who is our third baseman, but and the catcher. But that's about it. And we have Dylan Vincent, who played outfield for us last year. He moved in to play first base. And we had a couple guys that would come off the bench last year and play third. So we're pretty veteran in our lineup, and I feel like us winning last year sort of we know what it takes now, and we got in a new catcher, and I think we're in pretty good standards right now. It's just whether we can live up to the hype or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking about the you guys were a 3 seed last year going into the tournament, and Fairfield had a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys,
They were ranked nationally at one point, right?
last year, I don't know.
That was
2
2 years ago, the COVID
years
year,
ago.
when they were like 30 something and all.
Yeah.
So they've put together a few good years in a row, obviously, and but you guys got, I think, 7 or 8 votes, the coaches poll for first place finish. Talk to me about a team in the conference that you'd love to face. You love to beat the crap out of it. Is Fairfield one of them because they've been good recently? Marist is always pretty good, or is Siena one of them? You're just like, I just love beating the crap out of Siena.
Obviously there's the Niagara, the rivalry here. They're only 30 minutes away, but this year they're not in our conference schedule. We play them in a couple of midweeks, but that's about it. Fairfield is a big one for sure because they're obviously the top, and we like to play them, and we always like to play them. It's a big 2 good teams going at it every single year. Like, we've made the tournament like some crazy 14 years straight, the conference tournament, and they're not far behind. So I think I read today that they had 6 or so 30-win seasons in the last 8 years. So
it's pretty good.
They're obviously pretty high up, and everybody around here knows it. So I'm pretty sure they got us circled on their calendar, and we got the same thing. So I'd say Fairfield's pretty big up there. Ryder's always a tough series. Their coach is unbelievable with the stuff he does, but if it helps him win, it helps him win. He's really aggressive, and I love how he plays it. It's something you've never seen before. I remember we were there last year in season, and he tried to steal home twice without there being a pitch thrown, back-to-back pitches.
What?
And your pitcher just stepped off and picked him off?
Yeah, we picked the first guy scored. I don't know how, and they tried to do it right again before he threw another pitch, and that guy got picked off. So
that's like little league
shit.
It's
crazy. Yeah, it's actually crazy to watch, but he gets right into it, and you can tell he loves what he does, which you can only hope for as a player.
He sounds like an analytics type guy. Sorry to interrupt you, but
not really.
No.
He's an older guy, but he seems like he's small ball, likes the old style. He's going to try and steal any run he can.
Got it.
And yeah, and they had a good closer last year, so I think he's coming back too. So that ties in. If you can get runs and you can get a guy that can stop runs, it's tough to beat. But yeah, those would be the big 3 for us, I think.
So Max, you said you actually don't play Niagara in conference this year. Has the conference grown to that extent to where you can't play everybody? It's way different than when Jake and I were there with Quinnipiac, Mount St. Mary's, all those new schools.
Yeah.
So just no time to play everybody at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Ever since I've been here, it's been 2 teams on the calendar you don't play. So last year we didn't play Fairfield, who was in the top, and then we didn't play St. Peter's, who was closer to the bottom. But yeah, we don't play them this year, and then it might be Siena that we don't play this year. But yeah, so we went into the conference tournament. We didn't play Fairfield one time last year. and they were the 1 seed, and somehow we didn't face them in the conference tournament either. So yeah,
That's
we
bizarre.
haven't played them for a full year. Yeah.
Dang.
That would be pretty crazy thinking back on like our conference tournament experience, Jake, playing a team for the first time in that spot.
Yeah. And them being the 1 seed coming in, and you're like, there's all the hype around them,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they've obviously proven it. So
yeah, freshman year, did you play at Fairfield?
Yeah, I did. That was my first game I played at Fairfield.
Do they still
play weekend one?
They still play Reading Rainbow on full blast out of those dorms in the back? LeVar Burton.
There was something going. There was some freshman dorm people sitting out on the lawn having a couple pops, yelling at our right fielder, and they took them out of there. But they had some funny stuff to say for sure.
Yeah, that was a memorable moment. Fairfield, Chris, when we were playing, I mean, they were middle of the pack, and they had some decent teams. But like, I'll never forget the first time going out there, and we're getting ready to like take pregame, and I don't know what the speakers must have been the size of the dorm, because they played Reading Rainbow so loud, it was just like pounding off my chest, 400 feet away. It was unbelievable. I had to give.
I completely forgot about that, Jake, until you mentioned it, and now I could hear it vividly, like the distorted sound because it was a volume of 110 out of 100.
You gotta give them a lot of credit. Good stuff there.
Yeah, it's fun to play against, and like even if they have some good, like I said, they had good stuff last year. Like I remember our right fielder coming in and saying they just yelled at me that pinstripes add 20 pounds, and like the whole dugout was losing it laughing, but. It makes it fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the best way to respond to that type of stuff. We had our own section at Siena called the right field rowdies, who would really get on other teams, especially the right fielder.
Yeah.
And, it's like when you start showing that you're affected by it, or even like giving it back in like a bad natured way, that's going to just result in even more heckling and take you out. But if you're just like laughing about it or conversing with the hecklers like in a good natured way, they're actually going to probably end up liking you by the end of the day.
For sure.
Love that. How about, so you talked about teams. Any particular pitchers you want to, I'm going back to my days when we were playing. Funny you mentioned Ryder and the closer, because there was a closer when we played that we always wanted to just destroy. Mick, sometimes he got us. We got him a few times. You got any pitchers out there where you're like, I can't wait this year to go after him?
Not really off the top of my head. Like there's some good stories of last year where we were at Ryder again, and that closer came in, Danny Kerwin, and he struck me out I swung and it hit me right in the leg, strike 3. And then the next time I faced him was in the conference tournament, so we had to play them twice, once in like the round robin thing, and then they had to go play someone in back. But in that game, he came in the 9th, and we were up by 1, and it was 3-2 count, and he threw me a slider again, and I hit it for a home run. So he got me the first day, I got him the second day. So that's probably one there for sure. And then not really anybody that I got like their number down or anything. The guy I liked facing last year transferred to Pitt from Marist, but no, not really anyone necessarily.
Yeah. It's funny here, like I said, 20 years later, and we got similar stories with Jamie Hayes back in the day, Ryder closer, who, struck me out. And I'll contend to the umpire today that it was a curveball at my chest. And I came up the next time and took care of business. So mic drop.
Oh yeah, man, you never forget those guys. I can still remember guys I used to love facing.
Oh yeah.
You still get those umpires today.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad they come out and do it, and sometimes they're talkative out in the field, and I like to chat with them, but they're all there for a good time, and couldn't play without them. So.
Yeah.
So Max, let me switch it up a little bit. Has the whole nil changes, have those affected baseball in the MAAC, and particularly at Canisius? Like, are there deals being handed out like to baseball players at this point for nil, or are you really not seeing the effects of that at this point?
we're not seeing it like here, especially up in the MAC. But there's nobody here with like deals where they get money. Like maybe they get. I know someone has wristbands and like they'll give you wristbands and stuff, but there's nothing crazy like they do down south. It's still sort of the old traditional way where the way you get money is you work on campus or you go work the games and stuff. So nothing's really changed around that stuff yet. I think it's still early for sure. Like you see the high end guys and the Alabamas and the stuff like that getting the money, but and I think it's only a matter of time until it sort of comes down to us. But no, it's nothing's really changed.
That's good news for Chris and I, because I can rip this check up that we were going to pay you. But no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I wish we were making money so we could pay someone something, but no, nothing here.
One day, man.
One day.
And we'll get Max back at that point. Similar question, like transfer portal rules have changed a lot in the recent years, especially since COVID. And you've got, like Jake said, most of the team back. That seems to be unique. Like when we played, there were actually a decent amount of transfers even back then, and more so now. How are you able to avoid that? Was it like, were there any guys on the team kind of like thinking of maybe doing something else, but kind of stayed because you guys are going for the repeat, or is it just luck that no one left?
I feel like there's a couple things that tie into that. Like you said, there's guys that could like they know everybody around knows that they could go to bigger time schools. Like you get Matt Duffy, who pitched to the Cape last year, beat the strikeout record last year, who was held by Matt Brash, who plays for Seattle now, and for sure he could go play in an ACC or something like that. But a lot of it is, I think, the coaching staff and how it's run here is like we're on the weekends we're in at 8:30 both days. Sometimes we get some days off, but nothing crazy. And I think the higher end guys like the Duffys and stuff like that who really want to make a living out of it understand you kind of have that sacrifice. And then again, like the coaching staff is like our coach Matt Mazurek. Everybody calls him Maz. Everybody he's unbelievable in the stuff he does and how much he really cares about us, and it shows in his work. He's here from I could text him right now at 9:00 and say, "Hey coach, can I come in and hit at tomorrow morning at 9?" And he'd get back to me before he goes to sleep saying, "Yeah, I can work around it," and stuff like that. So it's a tight knit group here for sure, and I think that's a big part of it. And then especially the biggest part I would say is just being around the guys and liking the guys. Like I feel like there's nobody, especially you could say with the NIL stuff, where one guy goes and makes $20,000 and the rest of the guys make nothing. Nobody's held to a higher standard here, any of that stuff. So it's just like you were playing in high school basically, but everybody wants to win and they'll do whatever they can to win. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yep.
I mean, you bring up a good point as you're just talking. Like, ultimately, if you kind of go to one of those schools, or you have a guy who's making a bunch of money, inevitably that's going to create a little animosity, even if you guys are boys.
Yeah,
you know. So
for sure.
I mean,
for sure,
kind of being close knit, not kind of, but being close knit and having a good group of guys. I mean, Chris and I, reminisce about that with our class of 08. We were in the same, we rallied around each other our senior year. We strung together, I don't know, 25 wins in a row or some bullshit like that, something crazy. And we weren't the most talented team, but we gave a shit about each other and we played loose and we kind of did it for ourselves. So I totally understand what you're saying too. Like, hey, let's go repeat, guys. We can do it. You can be a big fish in a small pond. The pitcher you're just talking about, who can go break this record. There's a lot of pluses to staying and coming back.
For sure. And like even at school here, like if say that Matt Duffy walked down the road and maybe one of our bottom guy walked down the road, he's gonna like nobody's really gonna know the difference between the two. So like there's no ego stuff here and stuff along those lines. So I think that's another big one, which really helps.
Jake, I was just thinking though, like if nil existed when we played, and if someone on our team had a deal, I think how we reacted to that, if that person was the only one, would be solely dependent on the person and the
Yes.
personality. Like if we had a guy making 10 or 15 grand and he was throwing the card down every weekend at Daps,
Right.
I'd be fine with it if I wasn't getting a dime. But if you had someone like keeping that little tight, not spreading the love a little bit, then absolutely.
Yeah.
And I could think of a few.
Yes. I could think
That's
of a few too.
exactly what we were saying the other day. Like we were talking to like me and a buddy on my team who I live with and stuff. We're talking, just sitting there, and he's like, what it would be like if you go to those football schools and a guy's making $1 million for being your quarterback. Like you definitely go and pick up a team meal and stuff along those lines. Like you couldn't not,
Right.
even if you didn't want to. So that's sort of what I think would sort of bind it back together. But still, that guy's making 6 digits and you're trying to pay off student loans here. So
What
it
what do you
it depends.
what are you guys getting for meal vouchers these days? Has it gone up? Inflation? Are you guys getting like $10, $12 a meal now?
It depends. It really depends on the trip. We all get our little debit cards
Oh,
that
the
have our
debit
name on. I
cards?
think
They don't do
yeah, I
cash
think
anymore.
I got
Dude,
I got
wow.
mine here.
That's a sign of the times right
No,
there,
look,
Chris.
I got the U.S. bank.
Okay.
So they just load that up. I think can't really remember how much goes on it, but it stays on it. Like they'll put it on and it stays on. So if you don't spend it all, you get more for the next weekend and along those lines. But yeah, it really depends where you go. And then even when we went down to the regional in Miami, I know we got a lot more money on our cards there, just probably
Right.
as a token saying like thanks and stuff along those lines, but also as like I know they pay for us to go down there and stuff like that, and like the school gave it to the players instead of like pocketing it. So
It's like
Are they
it's like Christmas.
is that like your account or are they checking purchases?
no, I think they check. They like
Don't
everybody
like
has to
that.
go sign. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything back. So don't
Oh,
know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Probably good policy wise.
For
I
sure.
we wouldn't have liked it.
yeah.
But a lot of guys will like go and take it out of an ATM and just have the cash on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
here I
another
am
way around
asking how much you're getting in your envelope. I mean, literally, we used to get friggin' envelopes, and it was like Christmas.
it.
You like show up, they give you an envelope, and you're like, Willis, where you at? And you like open it up and you rifle through. You're like, yes, week-long trip, $119, like fucking loaded. Let's go.
Yeah.
We have the card, and then we have like I remember we went to West Virginia last year, and then on the road trip back, they're like partner up with a buddy, and then you both get to share like a pizza and stuff like that. So it's not always the card, but mostly the card.
Yep.
Got it.
So Max, going into your junior year, you're draft eligible at the end of the year. I mean, after last season, you were hitting 400. By the way, I looked it up going into the last game of the year. I'm
Fill it
sorry
off
if I'm
with
like
that.
hitting a sore spot, but ended at 398, really close. Amazing year, 10 jacks, ton of RBIs, 90 hits. Any draft buzz? Like, how does that work at this stage? Like, are you hearing anything with respect to like where you're potentially projected? I know you're just focused on the upcoming season, but just interested in like what that process is like.
Yeah, so the fall, I got an advisor and stuff like that, and during the summer I'd get texts and teams would come and watch. But ever since I got the advisor and like they're tying teams and stuff like that, we had a scout day here, and there was about 10 or 12 teams here to watch, and I've probably sat down with I know probably 6 or 7 teams have came in here to meet with me, and I've had about 8 or 9 that I've just had Zoom calls or been on the phone, and then like the Pirates and stuff came and watched me hit in the cage, and then we met and did some measurements and stuff along that line. So uh, there's not really other than the meeting stuff. I don't do a ton of it. It's a lot of behind the scenes with my advisors and stuff, which really helps me just focus in and stuff along that line. So it's basically just been meetings, and I know there's at least 10 or 12 teams that have told me personally that they're going to be there that weekend too in Charleston. So that's the stuff that's going on really with that right now.
Nice. Put it out of your head and just go play ball and just crush. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you two different questions. Totally changing gears, but not really. So you got a good flow going. And so the question I have for you,
Like a mullet.
yeah, it's good. I like it.
Yeah.
It's new, it's trendy. It's good. It looks great with a hat on. I'm looking at your bio pics online from like freshman, sophomore, junior year. You didn't have it, but all the pictures that you have on here, you got a good flow going. So what, would they make you cut it for your pictures?
No, I got it last year. Last year was the first year I got it. I think it was after pictures, but like I had it, and it was a greasier mullet last year. But there's a couple good pictures from the MAAC tournament, and even one of our guys had a MAAC takeover on the Instagram, and they put me on for the best hair, and I did like the wavy thing. But yeah, I went with the mullet last year, and I had to stick with it, I guess, and I like it as a hairstyle too.
You comb it out at all? Blow dry it at all? Or you just kind of let it be?
Not really. I just puff it up in the back, and I got my hat here, my USA hat, and I just throw it on and
boom,
sort of have it hanging out the back.
It's perfect. I tried doing it back in the day.
It works.
I couldn't do it. Mine just turned into like a rat tail. Just went down.
Rick had a good one, right, Jake?
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, Rick had a good one. One of our other teammates, he had a good one. Nice little flip going. You know, it was fluffy.
Yeah.
We have a couple. We have a couple good ones. Like we have, like I'm an 02, so junior, and we have a 99. Our shortstop's a 99, and he's got like last year he had bleached his whole hair and had like cut down the sides. But yeah, there's some good ones, and it always gets a good laugh out of the guys. So
yeah,
why not?
Love it.
Not trying to impress anybody.
Yeah. The other question I had, so again along the same lines. So the high pants above the knee, you know, it's trendy. Like Kike, we're big Red Sox fans, you know, so Kike's been going with that lately. We didn't have that. So is it like banded way up on the thigh? Or are you talking to? I mean, just the mechanics of it. Tell me about the mechanics.
I go a lot higher than like the Kikis and like stuff like that, but it's because the pants, like they have the elastic down at the bottom where it's supposed to be like just past your knee and stuff, and I couldn't get it to stay above my knee, so I fold them inside out, put the elastic all the way up, like where you wear a cup, and I have it around like my hip, and then I let the rest of it fall over, so it doesn't go really that far down, which is what it is, but. I do get a lot. Like I remember the rider, they were yelling at me, like the crowd saying I was wearing shorts and stuff. But that's about all I get.
And are you wearing like compression blue all the way down? Okay, all right. I was gonna say because those can't be socks.
Navy leggings.
Yeah.
No, we do have socks that go way up there, but it's just compression stuff.
Damn, there's so many more things to think about these days with uniform, right, Chris?
There's a lot of different styles now.
I wore them up, but I, obviously not that high. Like no one did back then.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Like Jake, I could see. I don't even know, man, what you would do if that was an option. And I didn't think you wore your pants up, but I think like you might just go leggings, no pants,
straight leggings and jock, and that's it. Is this okay, guys?
Sure.
Oh man,
could definitely see it.
Yeah, no, I love that.
I feel like even like my knees aren't under the pants, so I feel like I move a lot better, and I don't know if that's just mental or if that's actually how it is. But that's another reason why I kept it.
Listen, I mean, Allen Iverson started wearing arm sleeves because he felt better with it, and then it became a thing. And now basketball players wear full body suits, basically compression. So if it is mental, who cares? It works.
Yeah, really. And I don't really think of myself as that much of a superstitious mental type of guy. Like at the end of the day, I'm just gonna go out and play, and whatever happens. But if I like it and it looks different, why not? I like being a little bit different. Like I'll have wrist tape all the way up to here, and some people think like they'll walk in and be like, "Oh, that's cocky or stuff." But if I do it and it gets one of my teammates to laugh sometime, like why not? Like it's something we can joke about and sort of ease the mood a little bit, I'll do whatever I can.
So you mentioned that a few times. Would you consider yourself basically like the key guy on the team with respect to keeping guys loose and laughing, or you got like maybe like a sidekick that you work with on that?
I feel like a lot of it would roll through me, but there's also guys that play along with it. We have like even at home, like how we have those long dugouts, and Maz will stand by the box, like by the front of it, and we'll have guys like most of us move down the box because we know he gets a little upset sometimes, and just let him cool down before he gets to you. So we stand down at the end, and he started calling it the cancer corner this year just for a joke and stuff. So there's a lot of guys down there that just like to have fun and like to joke about things. And I remember down in that corner specifically, the Monmouth team last year had a left-hander. His last name was Barker, and you probably seen the movie, the Happy Gilmore movie, when he's playing in this thing about him, and one of our pitchers yells, "God, I hate that Bob Barker," and everybody lost it. So that's one of the big moments. And stuff always happens down there where, like, people go out back and lose their mind. Basically, people won't be able to see in the dugout. So I feel like there's a lot of different guys that do it, but I feel like there's a lot of it that goes through me. Like, we'll write nicknames that only maybe one or two guys will get on your locker, and if it makes someone laugh, then that's what it's for.
So I'm gonna give you an idea. We talked about this in prior episodes, but what we used to do is switch guys' walk-up songs without them knowing about it, and playing like a joke song. Like, we had one guy on our team named Al Williams, but he kind of had a resemblance to Al Borland from Home Improvement. Mm-hmm. So when he came up one day, we played the Home Improvement theme song, and he proceeded to strike out on 3 straight pitches because he was so in his head about it. Yeah. So I suggest you mess with people that way.
I feel like that would happen a lot, like getting people's heads along those lines with that. But even like we'll joke during the game and stuff. Like, if you watch us play and we do a throwdown between innings, me and our shortstop have things like they're all football things. So in the first inning, we'll do a kickoff, like he'll hold it on the plate and I'll pretend to kick through it, and then we have a handoff and then a pass and stuff. But like, I feel like if you're too serious about it, what's the fun in it? So I feel like you got to be loose and just have laughs a lot of the time.
Hey, it's let the kids play, yeah. Right? Isn't that the MLB motto or something from a few years ago? Or let them play?
Yeah. For sure. And like, even we went to Liberty last year, and before Liberty, we didn't see anything over 91, 92. But then we get to Liberty and they bring this closer in, left-hander freshman throwing 97 miles an hour, and everybody's like, holy shit. And I was standing on the dugout at the top of the steps, and he comes in and he's throwing it, and like shows up and score like 97, 98. And I just look in the dugout and I go, heat schmeat, just like Richie from Benchwarmers, and then proceed to go and walk and then get blown up my next at that. But it's all for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good, man.
So, hey, along those same lines, and maybe we'll get into Coach's Corner after this, but what are you guys doing? You seem like a fun group based on everything you're saying. Like, those 15 minutes before the game, like BP's done. I don't know if you guys still take in and out, but that's done. Yeah. Lineups haven't been announced yet. How are you guys killing time? Like, we used to play 2-ball, which is a game where like you throw 2 balls up and you got to catch them.
The pitchers do that a lot.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing?
Most of us, like last year, it started where like we all wear the wrist tape and we'll all write funny stuff on it. So like even like nobody knows what you're gonna write, and then you give your pen and you're like, I want you to write it today. And like someone will write someone's ex-girlfriend on it, and everybody will lose their mind laughing and stuff along those lines. But basically, it's just sitting on the bench, shooting the shit. Like, between BP, we'll come back in the locker room, listen to music, sort of just be around the guys, and you guys know what that's like. And there's never a dull moment, I guess, but not really. It's never really too serious, like anything else. You're just a bunch of 20-year-old guys who are all friends just going to play a baseball game. So a lot of it is whatever comes up in the spot.
Nice.
What a beautiful thing.
That's it.
Just a bunch of friends playing baseball.
Just simple. Damn. Man, life was easy back then. Yeah. Enjoy that, Max. It's fun.
I do, for sure.
Well, let's jump into Coach's Corner. I think that's a good little segue. Max, as we told you in the green room a little bit, we like to open it up for our guests to tell a funny, stupid story about anything coaches related or coach related, big or small.
Yeah.
Floor is yours. What do you got?
I got one, and it actually happened last year. Like, we at the MAAC tournament specifically, and I roomed with a senior last year who came back this year, Dylan Vincent. I lived with him at my house too. But me and him were rooming together, and I'm someone that not necessarily I'm gonna be comfortable where I am, I should say. And I was cleaning our room up a little bit because me and him will go at it sometimes. And I remember we had that's enough. That's a story for another after the coach's corner. But yeah, I was cleaning my room, had the latch in the door, hear a knock. I go, yeah, come on in. Not thinking. Coach walks in, don't really have any clothes on, walking around the room, cleaning the room up. See him turn the corner, I'm like, hey, coach. He's like, hey. And I'm like, oh my God, like turns around and stuff. And I'm like, oh, sorry, coach, I forgot. And then he just continued, like I got clothes on, and then just came in and talked about maybe the day before, the upcoming day. But that was one that sort of caught him off guard, and makes for a good story now.
Yeah.
So wait, you forgot you didn't have clothes on, or you just didn't care?
I honestly didn't care.
Yeah.
Just like, whatever,
really
you're doing a check.
Yeah.
Come on in.
I didn't really know what time it was, and everybody else on the team seen me like that, so I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And who else was walking into my room other than one of my teammates? I guess I never really thought it'd be the coach, but oh well.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Just a bunch of 20-year-olds hanging out, playing baseball.
Yeah, but I can say that other story now is we were in Ryder, and we had like one of the moms lived, like their family was there, so she made us like sloppy joes and stuff, and we had no idea why, but we just had the hamburger buns in our room, not a clue why. And the room was set up as like me, Carl and Dick, two sophomores, would share the pull-out couch, while the two upperclassmen would get the nice two beds. And there was like a little wall in between, like a desk and stuff. So we had the buns on our side, and I don't remember what happened, but I think Dylan or one of us spilled water in our bed. And then Dylan came over and poured the water all over the cot, soaking wet. And we just started crumpling the hot dog buns and had like a legit snowball fight in the middle of the room. And then that happened, and then the water happened. So our bed was soaked. Then Carl and Dick goes and gets in the shower, doesn't use a towel, gets out, jumps in Dylan's bed. So both beds are soaked. And then it was just like a free for all after that. And I think that night I slept in my tracksuit because my bed was so warm or so wet. So I don't know.
So buns.
It is what it is.
So
yeah.
So let me get this straight. You had buns and water.
Hot dogs
and four dudes.
Like snowballs. Yeah, the buns were shaped like snowballs, and you just rifle them across the room.
Okay.
Hey.
It got cleaned up. We cleaned her up before
we
left, and left it better than we found it, like Maz always said. So
yeah,
leave a little cash
nothing
for the
broke
maid
for sure. So yeah, well, we even got the vacuum out and did it ourselves. So there's no sighting of that. Never happened. So
never happened. Hey, it's a good coach's corner. Both of those.
It's fun little story. Yeah, it was fun to do, and 20-year-old guys going at it. So
yeah.
So you see that all the time. Like where I live on campus, like one of the houses right next to the dining hall, and I live on the second floor, and we have a legit like official hockey net in our living room. We took it apart and built it in our living room and play hockey in the living room. So, and the blinds are a little messed up, and thank God to the neighbors downstairs that don't call the cops on us for making too much noise. But we'll have a guy and one of the roommates in goalie gear and then play tip where one guy shoots and two guys try and score.
You guys are on the second floor playing this?
Yeah.
Wait, actual puck, legit puck.
No, it's like a tennis ball, but
Okay.
You got sticks and they're smashing against the
Still,
floor.
man.
Yeah.
Like it's a real net. Like we use it for road hockey outside. Like I remember that's another thing. Like 20-year-old kid. Last year I remember one of the times we played Niagara in another midweek. I was 0 for 5 with 3 or 4 strikeouts. get back, drop the gear off at the facility, and go and play road hockey like it never happened.
Yep.
So I feel like that's another thing. You just got to be able to walk away from it. And
Yeah.
I feel like we do a good job of that here.
Yeah, I was really good at that, except I used to just go home and put the covers over my head and sleep and just lay in bed thinking about it for 10 hours. I'm sure that was healthy.
we don't really like. We have a lot more fun at the field, but we also have a lot of fun off the field. Like even other stories like that, and it's always when you play bad for some reason. But I was 1 for 8 against Niagara, and Dylan Vincent walked it off in extras like the 14th or 15th inning, and I didn't really care that I was 1 for 8. But we went back to his house after, like home in Pennsylvania, and we were shooting at his deer with like his bow and stuff, which I would never do in Canada. Like I've never shot a gun in my life, but it's just like the game's over. So what? You got to play again tomorrow.
Yep. Move on.
It's a good mindset, man. You know, that's a skill in and of itself to be able to just like step away, and that prevents 1 for 8 turning into 2 for 30. Do you know what I'm saying? Being able to reset. So
and I think I owe a lot of that to the older guys on our team, where like we can just walk away from it and not talk about the game if we don't need to. So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, keep that rolling, man. You guys will have a good season. You have a good season. That's it, man. Hey, man. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
thanks for having.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Best of luck. You're opening up soon. We're gonna be following you. You know, crush it like you did last year. Hopefully, stay in touch. Don't kill Siena too bad. Show a little bit of mercy there.
I don't think we played them this year.
All right.
Sadly,
well,
we played them last year, and I was player of the week that week, so I was hoping to go back.
Yeah, little tidbit.
I told you, man, I watched that.
And the little tidbit I saw, it was like best game on your bio, and it said Siena 4 for 6, with like a bunch of runs and ribbies.
I think I had my. Did you guys play at that same field when you guys were there?
Yeah, but without
same
the turf,
field, it's without
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't even. Yeah. I think. Is it turf now?
Just the infield, isn't it?
I know that
like around the place.
Maybe it's around it.
Yeah.
Maybe I have it wrong. Maybe just around
I
it.
remember that was another story about Siena. I could go on for days, but I remember Siena. First 2 days, I took we take BP and we get ground balls and stuff, and I got one bounce up, hit me right in the mouth, and I called her a day and went to the outfield shag for the rest of it, and then the next day, the Sunday, we go out for BP, and I'm like waiting in the dugout. We're gonna be one of the last guys, get a laugh at everybody. I put the catcher's bucket on, the catcher's mask on, and run out to second base and start kicking ground balls.
Yep.
It got a good laugh, but.
Well, dude, how do you look? I had a lot of bad hops at Siena. Jake, I'm sure you had the same. But I said at the beginning, I hated fielding at Canisius because of that turf, and maybe you're just used to it now. But it's like the second bounce off of that turf is different than anything else.
Gone.
So do you actually just like it now, and because you're used to it, or is that still challenging?
Yeah, I think I'm so used to it. Like I came into college not having a position. Like I caught and I played third, but I wasn't set in stone and anywhere, and it was wherever I could get my bat in the lineup. So I did a lot of extra work with Maz and stuff in the infield. So and like by doing that, I feel like I understood where I could play more, understand where the hops were better. Because there's a little dip by third base. I knew that because I played there, so I'd play back and to the middle a little more. And then second base, you have all tons of time, so I played way back by one of the blue lines of a soccer field. So it's definitely, I think, one of the most home field advantage fields I've ever played on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just being used to it.
Yeah, because you said it earlier. You don't even have like the white line behind showing where the infield otherwise would end. It's just openness. So like you're going just based off depth perception, which when you're looking around and everything's the same color is very weird for an infielder playing there for the first time or just a few times a year.
Yeah, a lot of infielders play too shallow to start for sure.
Yep.
But it helps hitting wise, I guess, which we'll take.
Take it all day long. Like we said, we loved hitting there
every day of the week. Yeah.
Well, listen, a lot of fun, Max, and we wish you all the best this year in Canisius, trying to go for a repeat. Man Pepper Pod, we're back at it, and we're happy to have you. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks again, man.